Good morning, friends. Welcome back to my YouTube channel Medical Classes by Dr. Srinidhi Kumar Acharya. Don't forget to subscribe my channel and also please give your valuable comments in the comment box. As you know, we are discussing about childhood obesity, and we have also seen the treatment part, and we have also seen the different methods of prevention of weight gain. Now, today, in connection with the obesity, we will have another important aspect, that is, what is the physiology of weight gain and what is the physiology of weight loss. Once you know this factor very well, then you can correct your treatment whenever there is a mistake. Or even in the lifestyle also, many times we commit the mistakes and we can rectify it. But we should know the physiology of weight gain and weight loss. What are all the effort that we are doing actually, whether they are helpful to lose the weight or not. This point we should know. Otherwise, simply we are doing the effort and there is no results. So therefore, to make it understand clearly, so we'll go with the physiology of weight gain and weight loss, so that it will help a lot in planning the treatment. Now, what weight is? Why the body weight increases? So there is skeletal weight that also leads to increase in the weight, and we have got muscle mass that also increases the body weight, and we have also got the a fat in the body that also increases the body weight, and all these things are responsible for increasing the weight of the body. Now, adipose sites of the adipose tissue are made up of 80% of the fat in the form of the triglycerides, which are containing the three molecules of glycerol. So, body stores the energy in the chemical bonding which attaches these to the glycerol rings. The first law of thermodynamics is suggesting that energy cannot be created and energy cannot be destroyed. It can be only transferred or it can be only stored. We need to understand this very clearly. This is the first law of thermodynamics. It suggests that energy cannot be created and energy cannot be destroyed. Energy is always there, and only thing, either it can be stored or energy can be transferred to one form to another form. So basically, energy we take in our time is equal to energy that comes out. That means, so basically, energy we take in, that is equal to energy that we give out. So in between this, if in the body there will be a lot of storage of the energy in the body, and it's stored in the muscle, it is stored in the brain, it is stored in the omentum, it is stored in the mesentery, and later it is transferred to the next form and energy goes out. So this is the first law of the thermodynamics, very important. Energy cannot be stored. Energy either taken in, taken out, or in between, energy will be transferred into its next form. So when the energy is greater than the energy which is giving out, that is, energy which is taken in is more than the energy which is taken out or given out, then it results in storing of the adipose tissue. This results in the storage of the adipose tissue. So in our body, energy in is equal to energy out plus energy stored. Okay, so that means whatever the food you are taking, that is converted into energy, and that is called as energy in. This energy is equal to energy which is given out plus energy which is stored. That stored energy is also utilized one or the other day. So this can be energy stored is equal to energy in minus energy out. So now we just change this equation. So energy which is stored is equal to energy in minus energy out. Okay, so now a lot of people think that we got conscious control over the fact that energy we use and energy we take in. But it is a common fallacy that by eating less and doing more exercise, we can lose the stored fat. This is a wrong notion actually. A lot of people think that we got conscious control over the fact that energy we use and energy we take in. That means people think that yes, I have got control over myself and I know that how much energy I want and I also know that how much energy I have to lose. Okay, but the common policy is that by eating less or by doing more exercise, we cannot actually lose the stored fats. Okay, so this is a wrong notion. So, but actually, we have limited control over this equation of energy in and energy out, and this cannot be achieved by simply eating less and doing more exercise. No, this is a beauty actually. I mean, this is a point that we have to understand. Simply eating less may not decrease your weight. Simply doing more exercise may not decrease your weight. Then what else? One of the major reasons why we take the food inside is it is because of our appetite. This we have to know understand. Whatever thing energy why you are taking in, that is because of your appetite. When your appetite is increasing, you are taking it, and this particular appetite is controlled by certain hormones. Now comes the facts. The basic cause for taking energy in is your appetite, and that appetite is controlled by enzymes and other hormones. The basic thrust of the body is always want to keep the body weight same. Always body homeostasis will be maintained. Always you may be obese, but the basic thrust of the body is a body always want to maintain the same amount of the weight. Okay. Now, so more we lose the weight, more will be the appetite. This is a fact. This is the basic nature of the body. Body always want to maintain the same weight of the body. Okay, that is a basic tendency of the body. So by forcefully, if you lose the weight, then body again regains that weight by increasing your appetites. So more we lose the weight, more will be your appetite. So it always prevents the body from losing the weight. So it has got less resistance to gaining the weight than the losing weight. Okay, body never tolerate losing the weight. Immediately it will correct it, increase your appetite, and you have to take more food, and the weight will be corrected. Now another factor is our conscious mind, or what you say willpower, that if you are working on dieting. So when we are dieting, there will be a battle between our appetite and willpower. Okay, by willpower you are telling that yes, I have to control myself, I should not take more food. But your appetite is increasing, appetite is telling that yes, I am here, I want to take more food. So there is a battle between these two things. Hence, the majority of the people fails in dieting. This is the reason why they are not able to do the self-control. They are not able to overcome this appetite. And that's the reason that all the diet plans will go on vain because of this reason. If at all they are dieting, they are not losing more than 10% of the total body weight. So such people, although they are doing dieting, and they are not able to manage this particular battle between the body willpower and the appetite, although they are strictly following also, they are only able to lose about 10% of the total body weight, not more than that. So what Ayurveda says is, in an obese person, there will be increase in the Agni because of obstruction to the pathway by the kapha or medas. There is abnormal movement of the Agni is seen, that there will be increased Agni will be there. That increased Agni is because of the abnormal movement of the Vata. The abnormal movement of the Vata come to the kosta and it stimulates the Agni. So in a patient of obesity, according to Ayurveda, it is told that he is having more Agni. Okay, so therefore he always eat more and more. This is exactly what contemporary science explains, the same thing. Okay, there's a battle between appetite and as well as your diet. Okay, most of the time appetite wins. So Ayurveda says that in obese person there will be an increase in the Agni. Therefore, Indriya Jaya plays a major role. Self-control, willpower, that plays a major role. If you want to have this particular thing, then you should have Indriya Jaya. That is very, very important. Now let us look at the energy out. Usually we do exercise for this, isn't it? To give the energy out of the body, or put the energy out of the body, we will go for exercise. Actually, exercise accounts for only 10% of the energy loss that we use daily. On the daily basis, if you are talking, whatever exercise you do, so that is only responsible for 10% of energy loss. Among rest of the 90% of the energy which has to be lost per day, okay, so that is happening in basal metabolic rate which is going on in each and every cell. Okay, now that means what I mean to say is each cell is very active. In the each cell there is activities going on, you know, basal level activities going on, and for that you need ATP because cell is activating by means of sodium potassium pump, which is working by ATP. You want ATP. Now rest of the 90%, okay, 10% is you may lose by exercise. Now 90% is remaining. Out of that, about 70% is of the energy is consumed by the basal metabolic rate, which is taking place within the cell. Okay, so within the cell. So exercise only reduce only 10%. Okay, so rest of the 70% of the energy will be given out by the activity of the cell. So you have to keep your cells very active throughout the day. In exercise, only during the exercise you can keep yourself busy or your cells busy doing more work, but daily through 24 hours you have to keep your cells very active so that it may going to decrease the body weight. Now when we lose the weight, say by means of exercise, then the body don't want to maintain the negative energy balance in the body, so it decreases the basal metabolic rate to conserve the energy. This is another important thing. So when we lose the weight, say by means of exercise, then the body don't want to maintain the negative balance at all. Body always tendency to gain the weight in the body, because so what actually happens is decrease the basal metabolic rate to conserve the energy. Now this is very important. You have losing your weight by means of exercise. By exercise the weight has been lost. Okay, energy is lost. Now tendency of the body is to maintain the energy. It want to conserve the energy. Okay, so to compensate there, what it will do is it will decrease the basal metabolic rate. Cellular activity is decreased to conserve that energy. Ultimately what happens? The energy is conserved. The weight is not lost, although you are doing exercise. So if we increase the exercise induced energy loss of the weight from 10 to 30%, then the body equally reduces the basal metabolic rate to conserve the same equal amount of energy. So there is something called as thermic energy of the food, which is basically the energy used for the digestion, absorption and assimilation of the food from the gut. So if we are taking some more fiber diet, some extra energy will be utilized for the absorption of it, and this may help a little bit. Now this is how the fiber diet. Atarpanam, Guruncha atarpanam. When you take non-nutritious food like fiber diet, etc., it may help to some extent. If you are taking some more fiber diet, some extra energy will be utilized for the absorption of it, and this may help to little bit. Otherwise, there is no use. Okay. Now, the most important is non-exercise activities. What do you mean by non-exercise activities? So this will help to prevent the weight. Okay, like sweeping, then cleaning, walking, etc. These are non-exercise activities. We're going to lose it because throughout the day you have to keep your cells very active. Then it will lose the energy, total energy of the body 70%. Now what happens is if we start running or walking 5 miles per day, we could increase our exercise up to 30%, from 10% to 30%. And energy expenditure is 30% of the total body energy. Now the body actively start fighting against this weight loss by decreasing the basal metabolic rate and balance it. This is a fact which is happening. Therefore, over exercise is, or what you say, vigorous exercise is not useful. Daily exercise is useful. You have to plan such a way that 24 hours your cells are very active and the activity is going on in each and every cell, and hence there is a energy loss, energy consumption for these cellular activities. Now, hormonal control of the hunger. This is another important thing. Food intake and the energy expenditure must be balanced to maintain the healthy body weight. This balance will kept by central nervous system. How this balance will be maintained? Energy expenditure versus food intake. Balance is very important. This balance will be kept by the central nervous system, which control the feeding behavior of the energy metabolism. This controls the feeding behavior and the energy metabolism. Several brain systems are involved in this, including the brain stem, which receives the neuronal impulse from the digestive tract through the vagus nerve. We have also discussed in the same in the gut brain axis. And the hypothalamus, which pick up this hormone, the nutritional signals from the circulation. Okay, hypothalamus now pick up the signals given from the hormone regarding the nutritional signals from the circulation. They also interact with the reward and motivation pathways which drive the food seeking behavior. Satiety center will stop the eating and spend the energy. The arcuate nucleus of the hypothalamus emerges as a major control center actually. The arcuate nucleus contains two groups of neurons with opposite functions, and one is the two group of neurons are there. One group of one is appetite stimulating enzyme expressing NPY and AGRP peptides, and another one is appetite suppressing neurons which is POMC peptides. Okay, so basically it is hypothalamus. Okay, so major thing, because it contains two types of neurons. One is appetite stimulating enzyme, another one is appetite suppressing neurons, appetite stimulating neurons and suppressing neurons. Now there is a clash between these two. Appetite stimulating enzymes are stimulated by the hunger, while appetite suppressing neurons are stimulated by the satiety or fullness. Clear? Okay, so when you are taken the full meal, then there is a satiety. That means the appetite suppressing hormone enzymes are released. When you are hungry in the empty stomach, your appetite increase because in that time appetite stimulating enzymes are released from the hypothalamus. The neurons of the arcuate area, they are also projected into the other nuclei of the hypothalamus, of which the periventricular is most important. So these particular neurons which are present there, they are also projected, some of them are also projected into the periventricular area. And there will be projection of the informations outside the hypothalamus, thus a coordinate a response that control energy intake and expenditure. So short-term regulation of the feeding is based on how empty or full stomach, or emptiness or the fullness in the stomach is helpful, and if there are some nutrients in the intestine. Suppose in the fasting state, the empty stomach ends the stretch informations to the brainstem. That means rather the empty stomach sends the stretch information to the brainstem and signaling the hunger, and it also produces an enzyme called as ghrelin. So this is now appetite increasing enzyme. It produces an enzyme called as ghrelin, which act on the arcuate nucleus to stimulate the feeding. It also acts on the periventricular area to reduce the energy expenditure. So when you are hungry, so this particular ghrelin is produced from the arcuate nucleus of the hypothalamus, and it increases the feeding by increasing the appetite, and also it reduces the energy expenditure, because when we are hungry we feel very tired and we do not do any work, and the energy expenditure is reduced. Upon the food digestion, there will be distension of the stomach, which also perceived by the brainstem as satiety. So when you are taking more and more food, your stomach is distended, intestine is distended now, and that mechanical stimulus has been also taken by the brainstem, and it stimulated the appetite is reducing neurons. So ghrelin is no longer produced. Instead, other several gut peptides are released from the intestine and act on the hypothalamus and act on the other brain areas to suppress the one minute. There's a slipping of these particular slides. I'm sorry. Yes, what we're discussing it. So upon the food digestion, there will be distension of the stomach, which is perceived by the brainstem as satiety, and ghrelin is no longer produced. Instead, other several gut peptides are released from the intestine and acts on the hypothalamus and acts on the other brain areas to suppress the appetite. So while you are going for long-term regulation, will take cues from the body fat also. Low fat content in the body always encourages the feeding and energy preservation, while high body fat suppresses the appetite and promote the energy expenditure. And there is involvement of the two important hormones, leptin and insulin. Okay, so now whenever fat and other things come, so now we have got two important hormones. One is leptin, another one is insulin. Insulin is produced from the pancreas and it is released in the bloodstream upon the food ingestion and when the blood glucose levels start raising. While leptin is a hormone secreted by the adipose tissue in the process of in a process dependent on insulin. The amount of the circulating plasma is directly proportional to the body fat content. And increased leptin levels in the blood signals to the brain that body has enough energy and it has to stop eating and start burning more energy now. Leptin and insulin seems to be works together on the hypothalamic nuclei as other brain areas to inhibit the other brain areas and also increase the energy expenditure. Obesity results from deregulation of the feeding behaviors and energy metabolism. Obesity is commonly associated with the chronic low levels of the leptin activities, which trick the brain into thinking that body is always starved. This is a major thing. This leads to overeating and excess energy storage as fat. Both genetic and lifestyle factors contribute to low protein levels in the blood, but contribution of each factor varies significantly from person to person. The major lifestyle factors is energy-rich high-fat diet. In early stage of the high-fat induced obesity, the increased amount of the saturated fatty acids will be seen. These increased saturated fatty acids will cross the blood-brain barrier to provoke an inflammatory response in the hypothalamic neurons. The inflammation induces the stress in these neurons, blunting their response to the leptin. Again, this is known as leptin resistance. Leptin levels are high, but because of insensitivity of the neurons, it will not react to leptin, and the brain interpret this as low fat in the body and create a starvation response. So genetic factor, therefore patient consumes more food. So genetic factors includes the mutation in the leptin gene itself. Nowadays genetic studies shows that there are some problem in the leptin gene itself which is creating all this problem. Or sometimes there may be one of the numerous downstreams of the genes that are required for the leptin action in the various pathways get affected. Now, childhood obesity, the leptin deficiency due to genetic mutation is very rare, and more common are mutations in the downstream genes which render certain pathway irresponsive to the leptin. A major risk factor of the childhood obesity is maternal obesity and the mother's high fat diet during the pregnancy and also during the lactation. A maternal diet which is rich in the saturated fats may cause inflammation of the infant's hypothalamus. In Ayurveda, what we say, kapha dushti, and may also prime the reward pathways in the infant, influencing their food choice towards the energy-rich food. So we have to look at the hormonal level in the blood. Hypothalamus is the area which determines that does we are hungry or not. It makes the distinction that body is rich in energy or poor in energy. So after eating, when our stomach is full, then the insulin is released and it will go into block the hypothalamus secretions which are responsible for appetite and we feel satiety. This is exactly what happens. We have seen in the hormonal level. Previously, in the beginning, we have seen it at the enzyme level. Now we are seeing it at the hormonal level. So when we take the fatty food, it will release a hormone called as leptin. The presence of this enzyme will represent the energy-rich nutrient in the bloodstream and goes to the hypothalamus. The signal goes to the hypothalamus and binds with the receptors there to inhibit the hunger. But leptin level rarely change in the blood. The leptin level will rarely change because if we eat fatty materials, it will be stored in the adipose tissue and not available in the bloodstream to sense the hypothalamus. So that's the reason how the adipose tissues goes on storing in the body. So after eating, stomach will be full and distended, and ghrelin is released, and it will going to inhibit the hypothalamic factor responsible for hunger. So this is the physiology behind the controlling of the hunger and satiety, and this is the physiology between behind the weight gain and weight loss. So I hope this will be helpful in your treatment. And there is a very interesting hypothesis which is given, that's called a thrifty gene hypothesis, that we'll try to cover in the next class. Thank you very much for patience listening. Please don't forget to subscribe my channel, and also please give your valuable comment.